put a picture of yourself.
Yeah, I talk. So, what I want to talk about is power poses. So, Ann Cuddy is a social scientist, and what she discussed in her TED Talk, which is where my talk comes from, because I love TED Talks, is the power of the power pose. Exactly, and Devin's demonstrating. Demonstrate in the back. Ah! So even in nature, we see power poses, going like, trying to get bigger. Go, next one, please. I'll say please now, so everybody's right? We're all familiar with that pose. Yeah. What she said was there was a study done. What they found was that even people that are blind, when they succeed, they react in the same exact manner. Like this. The other day, I don't know how many people know this, my wife is pregnant, and we found out yesterday. We found out yesterday that we're having a baby boy. Everybody get excited? Yeah. But even in the picture, he understands the power poses. He was doing this, and yeah! Get a picture! Get a picture! He was taking after me. So, and so those are some of those things. Next one, please. But then the opposite is true. You know, when you're not like this, you usually shrink in. You know, you're sad. Next slide, please. You're upset. You're sitting at your desk. Oh my God. And I learned an interesting thing is that people can use that. They can read you. I was in an accounting class. And my accounting professor told me, because she saw me, I was taking this test, and I was like, She's like, you don't do that at work, do you? And I said, no, I never do that at work. She said, that's good, because as a guy, if you have longer hair, I don't have long enough hair now, but if you're running your hands through your hair, it leaves, you can kind of tell somebody's been doing that. She said when she go into a meeting, she'd see somebody, their hair like that, like they'd just been stressing right before they walked in, and she'd go, I got you. You're mine today, because she did a lot of high caliber stuff with CEOs of corporations and negotiating. And so she knew, this guy's been worried about me today. He's done. He's done. I got him. And so that is the power. Those things that you don't realize you're doing, and then you do them, and it creates problems. Next one, please. So here's some example of power poses. Even when you're sitting, when you're at a meeting with people, even when you're sitting down, what you do conveys power. And a lot of times what happens when you're meeting somebody and they're putting up a particular, like a power pose, a lot of times we don't mirror that, we actually do the opposite if you're not conscious of it and if it's not your personality type. So if somebody walks up to you and then maybe they're intimidating their CEO and they're like, hey, how you doing? A lot of times if you're not used to that, you might shrink back down. And so people realize that. So when you're meeting and you're going up to a big meeting, you need to strike the Superman, Wonder Woman pose and be ready to go. Tough guy like these people. Next slide, please. And not like this. You know, a lot of times you're sitting there, you're waiting for a meeting, and you're on your cell phone. You're just, oh man, let me send this last and you slash this last text. Oh, I got to email this guy, and you're not thinking about the meeting. Well, that actually can relate into your brain and affect the outcome of the meeting, whether you realize it or not. Next slide, please. So what she says, and which I truly believe, is that our bodies change our minds. The way that you react, the way that you act. They always tell you to fake it till you make it, but she actually says it's different. And what I learned in my entrepreneurship class that I've been taking is that it's not to fake it till you make it. It's to fake it until you become it. So you don't want to fake it until you're there. You want to be that. So in the entrepreneurship class, you envision what's your perfect day look like? What does your future look like? And when you can see it, then it becomes something that you can strive to. It can be. It's possible. Next slide. So your bodies change your minds, and your minds can change your behavior. And that's pretty true. I mean, the mind is pretty powerful. The way you think of things, how you act, the habits you create, the way you prime yourself. For those that were here a few weeks ago when I talked about the power of priming, or the way you prime yourself for a meeting. Next slide, please. And that behavior changes your outcome. So maybe if you had a couple of meetings that didn't go that well, think about it. You should write it down, log it down. This is what happened. That way you can detail it. Was it your body language? Maybe you just weren't feeling well. You didn't convey your message physically. The best athletes in the world and the best performers at their job, they practice every little nuance. So actors stand in front of the mirror and they act and they watch how their face, the speakers will film themselves like I'm doing now, and you listen and you watch your performance and you say, oh, I could have did this better, I could have did that, that's what I did. And that's how you become better. You don't become better by making sweeping changes in your life, you become better by making little tweaks. Next slide, please. And so, what she stresses and what she says is that when you get the opportunity, before you go into a big meeting, take a couple minutes and just strike a power pose, like in the bathroom, in your car, and just strike that power pose. Get pumped up. Get pumped up. So I want everybody right now to stand up. Stand up. Let's do it. We might not do it. But what she says is that if you spend that 2 minutes, they did a study that too, people that did that for 2 minutes, they were more willing to take risks. They were more willing to do things that they normally wouldn't have done had they been in the low power pose. So it does impact your day. It's sort of like Devin, I'll give you a plug here. Chiropractor, every time he says, I'm a chiropractor, everybody shifts. Like they're nervous, like he's going to call them out, hey, you, keep I'm going to correct everybody shifts, if you notice that. Alright, so next slide please. So while we can't demonstrate that, I wanted to go through, so we talked about, at my entrepreneurship class, we talked about the power of why, and he gave me a quote from Jim Rohn that I hadn't heard before. Yeah, see, everybody loves him, everybody knows him. And which is that, with a strong enough why, you can accomplish any how, right? Something similar to that. It's not exact, of course, I'm not trying to steal from him. But with any why, so I want everybody to take a couple minutes, and I want you to think about why you do what you do. Why it's so important to you to do what you do. And then in 1 or 2 sentences, I want you to convey that to everybody. Why is it that you, convey, why is it that you do what you do? So please take a couple minutes, and then we'll start.